and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Big things coming down the road right now. And here's your clue. This is a set of retired Brenner doubles, I think they came from. Brenner was a fuel oil company far up north. So there was another company that shut down and went out of business a little while ago called Beard Oil. And they had some other companies that they bought equipment from. So Michigan doubles were outlawed. This is 19,000 gallon capacity. So a long time ago, my husband had found out where the tankers had gone off to, and he's been keeping track of them for years. So he tried to buy these doubles last year, and the guy wanted like $6,000 for a set. Here he comes. Timing is everything, and he was thinking of it the other day. He was talking to a customer who wanted a large capacity fuel storage. This eliminates having to have a fuel setup at a business and have the extra insurance because it's on trailers. Look at that. This is 17,000 gallons. And it looks like this one's got the retrofit hitch from what he told me. Hold on, little people, and watch out for the mud. This mud is all wet. So as usual, timing is right in everything. So he'd actually gone to look at these last year. All the family went for a ride when we were out getting some parts. And we stopped and talked to the place where these all were sitting. They were too high. He started thinking about it the other day after talking to this customer who wanted a large capacity fuel storage and didn't want to get into their own containment system and everything on their property. This is the way to go. So they struck up a deal. He is buying 3 sets of doubles at 17,000 gallon capacity. Yeah, this one's the retrofit hitch, just like ours. And they were outlawed, partly for height, partly because the pups were tipping, and they could only be used for diesel. Most companies are hauling diesel and gas, so they stopped using them. So those doubles showing up are sure something. It's not something that he thought about for days. It's something that he's been working on for years. I'm working on fixing up a little wagon for a pedal tractor. He loses his little screws, and I'll tell you, it's surprising how hard it is to find what you're looking for. So we've been using it as a dump trailer, which is kind of okay. So I try to help you, try to help my family. I always try to help my friends. So I thought this was a good time to kind of segue into farming, looking ahead, just in general making plans. So right now a lot of people are checking their mailboxes and checking their bank accounts for the stimulus check that's going out. Well, they'd probably just assume you buy a bunch of stuff online. I had to run a couple errands after those tankers got here. Had to stop by the post office. We are shipping out honey and maple syrup every day. So if you need any of that, get over to the Etsy shop. There's a coupon right now on there. I'll put a link in the description for the coupon. It's for maple syrup. We have bottled up the last of the maple syrup that we're going to be selling. The trees are starting to bud out, but not so much in the woods. There are some areas where all of the taps haven't even been taken out of all the trees yet. What was looking like it was going to be a short maple season is actually turning out really good. We've got a lot of gallons. That's a new. All right, bring over the green tractor if you can find it. This is all ready. Lots of little repairs to do all the time. So here and there, when I'm not busy doing everything else, I've been pulling some taps from the trees. I've been washing buckets and putting them away. I've been packaging shipments to send out, and I've been painting fuel tanks. So my recommendation for you is to take some of that stimulus money or take a little nest egg that you've been setting aside and get some fuel. Don't wait to order it when the price changes. We get our pricing on fuel daily. Most of the companies are sending us pricing on fuel 3 times a day. What most fuel companies won't tell you is they don't have a truck or a driver to be able to go get a load of fuel at whatever low price is going on from like 6 p.m. to midnight, or from 6 p.m. to maybe 5 a.m. My husband is very good at what he does, and he learned from some of the best people in the industry about buying it, when to buy it, when to store it, even stockpile it and save it. So if you're waiting for all of your spring planting and stuff to go on to put in your fuel order then, you may be missing out on a great price on fuel. We have very fuel efficient tractors, and we don't have so much an issue with that. These little 2-cylinders hardly use any fuel at all. But in the future, if we get into using that Detroit diesel a lot, we're gonna want even more standby fuel storage. So I had a 180-gallon double-walled day tank that is used for fueling generators, and it's really great. Some of these bigger tanks, like this one right here behind me, is a 300-gallon overhead tank. It only runs on gravity. I'll give you a couple of tips about this. When you can find good tanks, you want to grab them, because when you want it, you're not going to be able to find it. We are selling tanks out of here every day, every other day, every couple of days. As soon as I've got them painted, I'll take a picture, I'll post it on Facebook Marketplace, and it's gone. Today I got this tank all scrubbed down. It's 1,000-gallon, and this is supposed to set on your own like concrete saddle or up on blocks. They're really nice tanks to have, but then you have to have a 12-volt pump to be able to pump it out into what you need. The overhead tank over here is all gravity. It takes a little filter, it takes a little nozzle, it's super easy to use. I don't know how many gallons you can get in other overhead storage tanks, but this is the common size that you see at most farms. It's a 300-gallon. This is a 1,000-gallon behind me. I sold a 2,000-gallon tank the other day. So he watches the market online regularly, along with the prices that are coming in to us on email from the refineries and from the pipelines. So I can't tell you what the fuel price is today, but I can tell you the other day the crude oil price on the NYMEX was like negative $35. So as it comes back up and then they'll sell it, if you've got that order in and the fuel company is working, all fuel companies are considered essential workers, essential companies, and businesses open. So get your fuel orders in, stockpile a little fuel, even if you've got to do it in the 55-gallon barrels. I've had several fellas come here, get 4, 5, 6 barrels, just because they want to have anything on reserve they can until they can find a fuel tank. And like I said, if you see a fuel tank for sale on the side of the road, on Craigslist, on Marketplace, even if you've got to go pay full price for a brand new tank, the savings that you will see in the fuel that is delivered to you and your pricing, your invoice, will more than make up for having to pay more for maybe not quite the right tank, or for maybe a brand new tank. So we're at the end of another day, and I wanted to show you what ended up being his weekend. This ended up being a 3-day project, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it went Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He just headed out early every morning. By the time the kids were up and out of bed every morning, he was back home with another set of Michigan doubles. Walking up here, it made me remember that when these doubles were originally in Mount Pleasant, and I forget the name of the oil company that was there, he bought some. A friend of his has a gravel pit, and they have quite a big operation, so he needed a set of doubles, or maybe he just needed the lead, maybe the pup. I forget, it's been way too many years. I remember another time he got one set, it was either damaged or too far beyond like repair and use, and he bought that and just scrapped it and basically bought it for the axles and the tires. So he's been working on buying the rest of these for years. That was probably when Jack was a baby, and Jack is going to be 14 years old this year. So he ends up keeping track of where things go when he can, and watches and waits for people to no longer want it, for the price to come down. He told me that to the guy that bought these, ended up paying $22,000 a piece for them. When the guy had them for sale a couple years ago, it was like $6,500 for each set of doubles. There was a pup that the guy had decided he wanted to keep so that he could use as a manure spreader or a fertilizer tank. In the end, he ended up getting these for $2,000 a piece, which is a huge steal. Now, if you wanted to scrap them, it wouldn't be such a great deal because right now all the scrap yards are closed. They're saying they're not going to open back up until May 1st, and the price is super low. And they said they're expecting when they do open, there's going to be such an influx of metal coming in that they're going to keep the price low and possibly even lower it. It's always good to make friends with the ladies who are writing the checks out at the scrapyard, because they'll tell you it might be better to hang on to it if you don't need the money right now, or if you don't need to get the cleanup done right now. So if you're buying stuff like this to scrap, it's good to keep that in mind. Kind of a flip-flop of what's been going on with the fuel situation is I've been fixing up the tanks, painting them and sending them out, and he's turned around taking that money and reinvested it all into this. So in the end, we're all still flush and plumb, and we haven't spent any money. It's a good frugal way of doing things, I will tell you for sure. So that's it for this, everybody. Remember the advice I gave you. Keep your eyes open for good deals. Buy low, sell high. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.